GKFX Prime presents the Market Analysis webinar.
Hello traders, and welcome to another weekly market analysis video where we're going to look at a few of the opportunities available in the markets this week. My name is Dima. I've been a trader for about 5 years now, and I've picked out a few opportunities, a few possible setups for this week, which is the 23rd of May 2022. And I'm going to have a look at a few markets this week. Again, as always, a little pick of currencies. I've got gold, indices, and oil as well, and we'll finish up with Bitcoin. So let's begin with the euro dollar. This is the continuation of the idea from last week, where I was looking at the market bottoming here, creating a possible retracement into this level right here, into this zone where we've got a gap in the price. And this week I'm looking at a bearish dollar, so that would be the reverse for the euro dollar. So it would be a bullish move into this area right here and retracement, and then we see what happens from there. So if I go to the lower time frame on the 4 hour, here was the start of that reversal, and now we're creating these higher highs and higher lows. And I would look to get in on a retracement, a possible better price, perhaps beneath here, to continue to that zone right here. We could also see a move higher right at the beginning of the week, possible retracement, and that would be also a higher probability entry into that zone right here. So once the market gets here, we'll see what happens. It'll be a retracement of this whole move right here. So we've already been here at the 50 level. I'll be looking at the 61.8 Fibonacci. So that's the outlook on the euro dollar. Then let me move on to another major, the dollar CAD. Here we can see on the weekly time frame, we've had this level right here. If I draw this area, the market has faked out of it and come back inside the zone, inside this whole larger range. So I'll be looking for that continuation. We've got that bearish here and continuation further into this whole zone, this big range, and that is also matching with the bearishness of the dollar that I have a bias on at the moment. So we'll see where that happens. Where I actually look to trade to is to this level right here, which is the swing point. We're just reaching into the 50% of this swing move here, and I'll be looking to reach into the 61.8. And we also have this big gap in the price where the market has not retraced, come back into. So I'd look for that as well. And where the ideal scenario would be a better price up here will be nice. It'll be a higher probability to come back down, and failing that, if the market comes lower at the beginning of the week, I may want to see a retracement, and that could possibly create a setup, a trade with a pullback into this zone right here, with this level as the point of interest, this little swing point here, where there will be some liquidity in the market, and therefore I'm looking for the market to move towards that point. So that's the dollar CAD. So bullishness on the euro and bearishness on the dollar CAD. Let me have a look at the Aussie CAD now. We've got some cross pairs, some minor pairs. So dollar CAD, we can see this swing, Aussie CAD, I mean, we have this swing, and what I'd like to see is generally for the market to reach certain levels. And if it hasn't reached those levels, then I want to look to enter the market to go into that. So this whole thing you can see right here from the bottom. Let me just draw a fib to the top right here. This whole thing I'm looking at is a retracement. And this whole retracement, it's bounced off the 50 level and hasn't reached the 61.8 yet. So I'll be looking as a minimum for it to reach the next level, which will be down here, and perhaps into the 61.8. So if I remove the fib now, and now from the weekly, I'm going to go down into 4 hour, and you can see that we've just missed that level here, which indicates to me that we could probably reach there and would be a nice short idea, nice idea to sell. So on the 4 hour, if I again draw a fib from the last swing point, which is the last obvious swing right here, and what I like to see is the market bounce off a really good expensive area. So we're now into that area right here within this range, and what would be nice to see if the market does that is a move lower and then a retracement and then continuation to the downside into that level right here as the first point of call, and then we'll see if the market wants to continue lower than that. At the moment, we've got this rangy movement. It's not very clear. The market hasn't confirmed its move to the downside, so I'm not gonna take it seriously as of yet. I'd like to see a nice move down. We've also got, if you can have a look here, we've also got this little trend line here. So it'd be good if the market breaks that with momentum. Nice, clean, bearish candles. Not small ones like these, but more bearish ones like this one, nice big momentums, or like this one, very clean. So that's the Aussie CAD. Let me move on to the Pound Aussie, which is the other one I saw here. So here we can kind of correlate the currencies. What I like to do is match them up and have a bias on one or the other. So just like I have a bias on the dollar being bearish, I obviously have a bias on the Aussie CAD, with Aussie being slightly weak as well. So with the Aussie weakness, I also see the strength in the Pound Aussie. And what I'm noticing here, if I just go onto the weekly, you can see that we have this range here, and we had this big, very large move down. And now we're in that retracement of this whole move. So this will be, there'll be traders taking profits. And if we look down the time frame, you can see that we've kind of created this little wedge here. There's a little range right here on the daily, and the market is wavering. Now, the question is, what is going to happen here? I'm bearish, but at the same time, it seems like the market is indecisive. We're not finished that retracement. And why is that? Well, I see a gap in price right here that we haven't yet filled. And this, if I just move this to the side a second, and if you have a look at this trend line, we've had many touches to the trend line and many traders going short of this trend line. Let me just delete this box. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or so touches. If I look at the 4 hour, quite a few, which tells us that there's highly likely to be liquidity here and many traders going short, but the market has not reacted. It hasn't pulled down. It hasn't come down. So what that indicates is that we're likely to push through this trend line into this zone right here. That's what I see as a high probability. Of course, it may not happen. Market may just collapse, but we'll see where it goes. Now, what would be nice is that if the market pushes higher, it would be nice to get a break of this high and then pull back into it, and that would give a better price, and then the long into this area right here. So that's what I prefer to see on Pound Aussie to give a higher probability setup. At the moment, it's still ranging. It hasn't broken out of this trend line, so not really interested as it stands, but we'll see how the market develops as the week progresses and then go from there. So that's Pound Aussie. Now I'm just going to move into oil. Now oil is also correlated with the CAD currency because Canada is a big exporter of oil, so a strong prices in oil will be strength in the CAD. And that's what we've been looking at, which is why I'm also bearish on Aussie CAD. So what have we got here? We've got a very clear up move, very clear trend here, bullish. We've got higher highs being created and higher lows, so we're clearly bullish. So I am looking at, if you can guess, this level, if you haven't already spotted it, as the first level where we're going to reach to, and then in the longer term level up here. So what am I seeing here? I'm seeing a swing on the daily here. If I look on the weekly, we are continuing to close higher with these candles. So again, a continuation to the upside. Now, if I look on the lower time frame, the 4 hour, I'd like to see a nice cheaper price somewhere in this zone, and then some kind of reversal price action to head to the upside, which is that level over here, and that will be the nearest first target. Can also target this swing point right here, and then after that in the market we'll see what happens there, but this will be the major, because this is a major swing. I like to aim for those really nice, clean, visible, obvious swings, targets as targets to aim for. So that's oil. Let me move next on to gold. What I'm seeing on gold here, considering that I am looking for a continuation of bearishness on the dollar, the inverse would be true on gold, because gold is linked to the dollar, price in dollars. So weak dollar is, technically speaking, most of the time bullish on gold. So we've got this level right here that I've drawn out, and I could see we've had this bounce last week. We've closed bullish, so I am looking at the minimum in the short term to have some more bullishness. I'll be looking for a buy on gold. Let's go down a time frame. If I go into the daily, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a fib and take the last swing from the high to the low. And again, I see that we are at the 50 level, and I do like the 61.8. So anywhere within here would be where I'd be targeting the market to go with a bullish sentiment. So where is that? If I just remove this fib for a second, just clean up the chart, I can see this level as the next possible target for the market to reach into, and then this one right here as well. So again, it would be nice to see a cheaper price, because I always want to get a better price, perhaps within this area right here. Why is that? Because if I again take the fib from the swing to the high, then I would like to see a nice deep retracement before going higher. Now that may not happen, and of course the market may rip higher, and in that case, if it bounces back and returns to the original price where it's at right now, then that would be a better price to buy at, and then that would look for follow on from that into this zone, green zone right here. So that's the outlook on gold for now. Move to the next one. Let's look at what we got here. Let's look at the DAX. So the DAX, what do we see on the higher time frame? Well, we had this recent massive collapse. This is a really strong move down. So really, what can we see? Basically long-term bearish, long-term is a sell. But what do we see at the moment? Well, again, if I draw a fib, I can see that we've had a bounce off this 61.8, went into this deep retracement zone where we had a gap in the market and bounced right off. Now, the fact that it bounced right off indicates that we probably have some buying present in the market at the moment. That will be favorable. And what you can also see, if I go down a time frame, you can see this trend line where many traders have traded from. Probably lots of people looking at that. Got 1, 2. Let me select this. Do it again. 2, 3, 4, 5. Look how many times there's been a touch of the trend line. Now, so many times that many traders will be looking at this and it's become very obvious. That means that there is likely many stop losses above these, resting above these highs. And the market likes to seek stop losses and to take them out. So, oops, if I just delete this for a moment, take them out, and that's why I'll be looking for the market to reach those levels. So we've had another retracement of this swing right here, and I'm looking for that break of this trend line. So I'd like to see, in terms of a higher probability setup, a break, come back down perhaps, would be nice and deep into the lower prices. And then once that happens, and reversal price action into these highs to take out these highs right here. And the first area, I'll be looking at this area. That's my main interest at the moment. So that's around the 15,000 level. The first target would be right here, 14,600, something like that, with this swing high here. And then if we clear that, then we go, I'd be more interested into the 15,000. That would be the nice a nice price to aim for. And again, just bear in mind the fact that because of the longer term downtrend, we have this big bearishness sign right here. You do want to be a bit more careful and just tread carefully with the setup and with your risk, because the main force in the market is to the downside, and that's because of the weekly outlook. This big bearishness right here. So that's the DAX index. And finally, but not least, gonna go into crypto, Bitcoin. And I think I mentioned this last week as well. This is this level, this big important level right here. What we can see here is a very big wick rejection, which acts as a fake out in this case. And you can see that we've not really closed below it. So this would hint the fact that we've got more bit of upside to go. My eyes are drawn to this gap right here, and the same token, this gap in price right here, that price just moved away and then hasn't actually come back into it. You can also draw a fib from the high to the low. Once again, we haven't even reached the 50 level yet, so that will be the first level to look at. And then after that, I'll be interested in the 61.8 and above as well. So really, as a minimum, I'm looking at the 50 level that I'm interested in. Now the question is where to buy from. Well, if I go down a time frame, let's go to the H4. I can see that we are in this range at the moment. So where to buy from? Well, what I'd like to see is, again, as always, cheaper price. So a nice cheap price into this zone here. We may even create a double bottom. Don't know. We'll have to see how the market reacts. If it reacts off here and off down here, may have a double bottom. And of course, the lower the price, the higher the probability. So I'd like to see some kind of reversal price action and give me some confirmation. Nice bullish candles would be really good. So a bullish candle, let's see, something like, let me just find one for you, like this or like this. Nice momentum, but no hesitation like these candles or these. So something that's very clear to see. And then once that happens, then I'll be looking for the long into the 50 as the first place I'll be interested in, and then further into the 61.8 and above. But again, Bitcoin, bearishness long term. I don't want to really fight the momentum to the downside, which is why we're kind of struggling here to go any higher. And because I don't want to fight it, I want to be more careful and more selective about where I'm going to actually think about a buy. So it's a similar picture, isn't it, to the DAX really. We're looking to capitalize on the retracement of the market. So this is a move of the retracement, not really going with the flow of the market on a higher time frame, but there's still validity to it in the short term if we see the right conditions and the higher probability. So it's all a game of probabilities as always, and remember that this is how it works in trading, and it's about being consistent. So take care when you're actually placing a trade and be consistent with the way you do it. Right then, that is the overall outlook for this week. Watch out for any surprise moves. If you do see anything that looks unusual, this is just a guide for how the market looks at the moment. Things can change and we've got to adapt as it goes along. So I've always got a view of the market, but personally I want to see what happens, and I'm always open to something else happening which could be unexpected. And you always have to be open to that because as always it's just a game of probabilities. There are no certainties here. Right, so hope you enjoy that analysis and good luck in trading this week. Always remember to manage your risk, and see you on next week's analysis. Bye for now.